everybody. How are you doing today? I hope you can hear me okay, hope you can see me okay, and everything's working technically wise like it should be. It's a little bit more overcast today, but we have had a little bit of spring and a little bit of summer. What we have had, which is very exciting, but I'm very upset because I missed it, was everyone has been able to see, everyone but me, it feels like, has been able to see the Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights due to a solar flare. So I do hope you got to see them. It's the one thing on my bucket list, and unfortunately I missed it. But you never know. It wasn't my time this time, maybe next time. If you are in the USA and you've been celebrating Mother's Day, then I hope you had a very lovely, lovely weekend. And thank you for joining me today. I'm going to say a quick good morning to you all before I show you the lovely necklaces that we're making today. So good morning to Claire. She says, love this here in South, I think that's Carolina, USA. Love your channel. Keep up the amazing work. I can't wait to see what else is planned for the future. Well, speaking of the future, I won't be here with you on Friday because I am off to the wonderful warehouse at Totally Beads, and I'm going to be putting together all of our future makes. Well, not all of them. Laura's going to be there doing it too, and I'm sure Kitty's going to be putting some bits and bobs together. So we're going to be planning for our future lives. I'm very excited to see them all and to just get busy. So I'm putting some ideas together this afternoon. So if there's anything that you would like me to make here on Totally Beads, then do give me a little message. Pop it in the comments, and now's the time for me to put that together for you. Good morning to Rachel. She says it's nice and bright where she's watching from, which is Barrow, isn't it? Good morning to Teresa. Hello to Jan. She says, good morning, Natalie, and everybody in a sunny Sudbury. The sun's trying to come out. It's a bit more overcast than it was, but yesterday I did the garden and it was roasting. It was so warm. It was lovely. Good morning to Edward. Good morning to Elaine. Hello to Jan. She says, I love these necklaces. Camille's asking if I'm on cloud 9. Yeah, I had an absolutely wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Good morning to Esther, who says she loves the colours. How are you doing, Esther? Good morning to Anastasia. Hello to Teresa. She says, my understanding is that this is a sunspot and it will be shooting out more of these AB. Yeah, it was like a solar flare, I think, wasn't it? So you got to see them in places where you wouldn't usually. And I'm really disappointed that I never got to see them. Anne saying, how about some even count peyote? Yeah, I will tell Kitty to do some peyote stitch. That's not my forte, Anne, but you could watch me struggle and I could learn along with you. Good morning to Jan. How are you doing? So today I'm going to be doing they're called illusion necklaces. Now, we have done one a long time ago called the floated necklace, and it works in the same way. So I've used nylon thread, and I've used that a few times for different makes. This is what it's for. This is what I think it's for. It gives a lovely effect, which makes it look like your necklace is floating. These are some of the colours mixed together on my bust. I actually think they look gorgeous layered up. And if you want to multi-buy, you can achieve this look. And so there's some of them. We've got some more. They wouldn't all fit on the bust. So here's another two. So it gives kind of like a floating effect using that invisible thread, which I think looks really nice. I did see one design which I've been saving. I was going to do it last October, last Halloween. But because it's limited in terms of the colour choices, what I wanted to do is to create a necklace with just a few drops so it looked like a vampire bite. That's what I had in my head anyway. So I might do it again in the future, but we've got some gorgeous colours for you today, which looks like we're bringing in the summer makes. You can wear them all year round, but they're lovely and colourful. So Jen's in, Pauline's in as well. She says it's a lovely sunny day. Camille also said she missed it too in terms of the Northern Lights. She did go out the second night, but it was cloudy. Yeah, I sat up till midnight looking out the window and popping into the garden on the second night, and I didn't see it. Good morning to Barbara. She says, good early morning. She's going to catch the replay and hopes everybody has a wonderful day. Hello to Shelley, who's in a very wet and windy Torbay. So weather's changing then. Good morning to Debbie. Hello to Mina in a sunny Leicester. Esther says, she's very good. She's finished another of Kitty's necklaces. Only 6 more to do. They're making great gifts. You need a gift drawer. Just have a little drawer. Mine is a little room because there's that much. But then when you make something, keep them in. I often get a message off my mum saying, Nat, have you got any of this? Have you got one of these? Can I buy one of them? And I usually do tend to make them from scratch because I like to make bespoke makes. But if you've got them, you know, with birthdays and Christmas and whatever else you celebrate, it's always handy to just have some ready to go. Jan says she missed the Northern Lights too, but my son sent me a pic. Do you know what? I'm really glad I'm not the only one. I feel like I'm the only one in the world that didn't get to see them. I'm going to take you over to the website now. We are totallybeads.co.uk, and this is where you can get your hands on the kits if you want to make along using exactly the same components as I'm doing here. So we head into the video tutorial category. And if you scroll down, it is Meredith Illusion Necklace. So I named this one Meredith. I usually name them a female name, and I hadn't done a Meredith before. So these are the colours for you. They are they're a mix in prices by the looks of it. I will double check because I'm not sure whether they should all be the same price. Oh no, we've got any two with 15% off. So we've got a gorgeous cornflower blue, a golden haze, a grape, a pink magenta, a silver and a teal. The majority of them are £5.99. Again, it says any two with 15% off. So if you want to have a little mix and match of those colours. I will try and have a little look later just to double check on any offers that we've got going on for you. But yeah, if you want to mix and match your colours, you can do. You can layer them up, so you could make one of each colour and then wear them together, or you could mix your beads into one make. Which I think is what I'm going to demo for you today. I have started a couple of the strands just to kind of speed me up, but I'm going to talk it through with you step by step. So as I say, we've got lots of lovely colours for you. I'll head into the cornflower blue so you can see how it looks and what it's made with. So we've got some glass pearl rounds for you. We've got 6 and an 8mm, so 2 sizes of that. We've got your size 8C beads, your nylon invisible thread, which I think is 0.25 in this kit. You've got your Callottes, your jump ring and your lobster clasps. That's all you need. They are really straightforward. If you want to add a little bit of glue, you can do. I tend to put a little bit of glue on my knot and then pop my calotte over it while it's still wet so it sticks to the inside, and I feel like it makes it that extra bit secure, but it isn't a necessity. If you want to scroll down, yeah, there you go. It's a 0.25mm thread that I'm using today. You can see exactly the colours. So I'm using the cornflower glass pearl rounds in the 6 and the 8. And then I'm using a silver lined aquamarine as well in the size 8 seed beads. So that's how the beautiful blue one looks. We've got a golden haze. I mean, I think this would make lovely wedding jewellery, you know, if you've got like those pearls in and things like that. Just maybe with like a long plunging neckline, or even, you know, a jumper, I suppose. It is good for all seasons. If you're putting it on like a black background, so if you were to wear a black jumper or top, for example, you might see that invisible thread a little bit. I've tried to photograph it here so you can see the shadow of it, so you can actually see how that works, but it is invisible, so it does give the kind of floating effect, so hence why it's kind of illusion style. So this one is your golden haze. Again, all the same components in there. I'm just using the galvanized starlight size 8 seed beads with the golden haze beads there. They will be different colourway findings as well. So your cornflower is on the silver, your silver is on the silver findings, and your gorgeous purple grape ones are also on the silver. All the rest are on gold. You really don't see much of the findings. Excuse me, let me just have a sip of my drink. It's literally on the back of the necklace. You'll have your clasp and your jump rings with that little callotte, and that'll be all you'll see of your findings. So this is your gorgeous grape. I really like this colour, really like this colour. So for this one, we've got the Silver Milky Nutmeg in the size 8 Toho seed beads, and I'm using the grape in 6 and the 8 glass pearls. That's how that one looks. And then we've got a gorgeous pink magenta. Again, if you want to have a little look exactly what the seed beads are called, I'm using the mauve with these ones, with the pink magenta. We've got the silver, again, I think would be quite a pretty wedding necklace. Wedding season is upon us, so if you make, you might want to consider this as one of your designs that you might like to do. The findings on this one are in the silver, and you've got your silver frost crystal, Toho size 8 seed beads, and your silver dust size 8 and size 6 millimeter pearl. And lastly is the gorgeous teal. I really love this one too. And if you have a little look, you can see we're using the frosted teal with the teal glass pearls as well. So you don't really need much in terms of your components. In terms of tools, it's all done by hand. You're going to need some cutters just to trim off the edges, and a pair of pliers to open up your jump ring and attach on your clasp. That's literally it. I'm going to use some GS Hypo cement. If you want to add a little bit of cement on, glue on, you could use that one. You could even use a bit of clear nail varnish if you wanted to use it at all. So they are your colours today. Please let me know, which ones do you like the most, and have you ever made a necklace using this technique before? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Don't forget, if you've got any comments or questions, pop them in the chat and I will do my best to answer them. Mina missed the Northern Lights as well. Good morning to Joanne. She says the sun's shining with blue skies and she's with her granddaughter watching today. And she also missed the aurora. Did anybody see it then? Maybe I just, because social media, everybody shares all the good stuff. No one says I just sat up and seen nothing. Did anybody see it? Because Anastasia says she only got to see them on TV as well. Oh, do you know what? I'm taking a bit of solace in the fact I'm not the only one. Okay, let me take you down on the mat. Now, I'm going to use my macrame board. You don't need to use the macrame board. I just find it's handy to kind of work onto it really. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my invisible nylon thread and I am going to cut about 80 centimeters of each piece, and I'm going to cut about 5 lengths. I've not done 5 lengths for this demo just because we might be here for a little while doing it, but all I've done is I've taken 5 lengths or 4 lengths of the invisible nylon thread, and each one of them is 80 centimeters long, and all I'm going to do is a little overhand knot in that and then pin it to my board. If you want to do your callotte first, then you absolutely can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of line those pieces up together. I'm going to take my callotte and I'm going to thread each one through the hole in the callotte, and because it's strong but it's thin, it's kind of like a fishing wire type of material, you will get numerous strands in there, so I like to use 5 for that full effect. So I'm going to just pop them all through the hole in the callotte. I'm putting my callotte upwards so it's facing that way, and then I'm going to take the ends and I'm just going to do an overhand knot. Now, an easy way I find is to make the loop. I know it's difficult to see because it's invisible, and then I'm taking my pliers and just catching the ends so I can bring that through. I just find that's the easiest way to do it. So a little overhand knot, You only need one, and then you can pull on each end just to tighten each of those loops up. There you go. Focus. There you go. Now what I tend to do at this point, as I say, you can work off it first and then do that at the end. I'm just going to take a little bit of my glue and I'm just going to pop my glue onto that knot. And then while it is still wet, I'm going to fold my calotte over. So I'm going to come in with my cutters and just chop off the end of those little extra bits. Slide up my calotte. I'm going to get that knot inside of it and then fold it over. So I'm just folding it with my fingers for now. And then a little bit of pressure over the edge just to close it. So if that glue's still wet, it's just going to stick to the inside. And then all I'm going to do is take a little drawing pin through the holes in the cloth, or just clip that through my board. And then I separate out my thread. So I have put some beads onto these already, but I do find I personally find it easier to work off having the macrame board, because then I can just slot in my threads as I go. Once I've done them, I'll just kind of pop it over the back just to keep them out the way. So you'll have 5 of your invisible strands. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out a mix of my beads. And what's nice about this make is it is, well, I put them on in a random order. So if you wanted to, you can just make yourself like a little bead soup. By just, what I mean by that is just pour your beads out onto the desk. You've got 2 sizes of the pearl. And you've got your seed beads as well. So I'm not putting them on in any particular order. So you can just kind of spill them out onto your desk. I'm just opening up my strands to the side. Good morning, Trish. Joanne says, my daughter's friend managed to see and took pics. That's about as close as I've got. And Jan says she's made illusion earrings, but not a necklace. Ooh, they sound nice. Rachel said she missed them too. So what I tend to do is I do tend to start off with my seed bead. And what I'm going to do is it's a bit like if you put a stopper bead onto your thread. So I'm positioning it on, and then all I'm doing is taking the end of the thread that I've placed it onto, and I'm just coming down the same direction. So it's coming down from the top, and then I pull through. And what that does, it allows me to move and to slide up and down my bead. So I'm going to put it quite near the top. I tend to start off with the smaller ones and with the seed beads, and then I just pick up a random mix at any point. So I'm going to pick up, this time being the 6mm, sliding it on to my thread, bring in the same thread, so the tail end, back through the bead. And again, that's going to allow me the ability to slide my bead up and down. And I tend to position it about a finger width. So you can make your necklaces as full as you want to. You can put as many beads or as little beads as you want to onto these. I quite like putting about 25 to 30 onto each strand when I've got that length of about 80 centimeters. Again, you can adjust this to do whatever you like. So if you want to add less strands, more beads, less beads, you want to do a particular order, you can do. But by adding on 2 different sizes of the pearl and the seed bead, that's just going to give it a nice kind of texture in terms of the different sizes and shapes that you've got there. So I'm sliding on my bead. This time it's my larger one at 8mm. I'm taking the invisible thread. It's probably just one of the reasons as well that I'm doing it on the macrame board, is because if I'm doing it on a white background, you might not see it. And although you can colour the ends of your thread with a pen, I didn't want to do that because it's meant to be invisible. So I'm just taking any bead in any order. And it's a nice one to do because you are doing it at random. So you don't need to, if you don't want to, you don't have to do a particular bead pattern or repeat or anything like that. So sliding on whatever bead that I'm using. Oh, not that one, because that's rolled off onto the floor. So taking the thread, it's going to go through the drill hole in the bead, and then taking the same end of the thread, and you might just have a little bit of coating on some of them. Just bringing the thread back through, so coming back through the top and then sliding it up. So I tend to thread them all on first, and then I kind of play about with the positioning of them. You can spread them out further if you want, but I tend to do, it's probably about 1 centimetre between them, like, you know, a little finger space really. Good morning, Yolanda. She's wishing everybody a happy Monday. So sliding it on and pulling it through. It's really as simple and as straightforward as that. There's no, you know, there's no complications and fancy techniques in this. It is just a way of creating a lovely floating illusion necklace using lots of colourful beads in a little bead stringing way. As well as being able to position them, if you decided, oh, I don't want that one there, and I don't know why, if you are doing it random, you can just pull it and you can just slide that straight off. The good thing as well about the nylon thread is it's very forgiving. It doesn't really tangle. So if you do get a knot in it, you can just really easily unpick it. Whereas if you're using maybe a silk or you know, like a beading thread, that can often get tangled up, and sometimes you have to cut it off if you can't unpick it. But this is a really straightforward way to make it. Wendy's saying the beads will not slide when positioned when worn. They can do a little bit, but you can just position them back where you want to. They're not going to fall off when you've put your findings on the end of it. And when it's kind of on and it's taut, they do tend to stay. So you can see here, if I'm wearing it and it's, you know, rubbing against maybe my clothing or my skin, they're not moving. I'd have to pull gently down on each one of them to actually move them out of position. So while I'm making it and putting it together, I can move them where I want. But afterwards, no, they should probably stay in position. You might want to do display this either laying it flat once you've made it in like a jewelry box, or maybe on a bust to stop them kind of tangling between each other. But I quite like it when I've made it, I do tend to put it on the bust and then just position them, or you can put it on the bust and position it before you put your final calotte on the other end. And when I say position it, I mean like you might want them to kind of tangle up a little bit between each strand, and I will just reposition it maybe so I've got it being more full in the center and things like that. It's a nice pretty make anyway, I think. So I'm just sliding on. This is why I've done some in advance, because I thought it's really very repetitive. And once you've seen me do one strand, you've seen me do it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't change at any point. So I'm sliding it on. It is quite a good way to use any leftover beads as well. Obviously the colours we've put together for you are particularly lovely. So if you want to use those, then you can head over to the Totally Beads website or check the link in the description and you can buy these exact ones. I do think it looks lovely when they are layered up. So I thought I'd try one today with a mix of colours and that will give a similar effect. So at the moment, I'm not paying that much attention to how the beads are placed. I'm just threading them on and then I'll move them as I go. So I hold my bead between my finger and my thumb just to take that little tail end through. So when we've done, we called it floating necklace last time. We were using little crystals as well, just to add that extra bit of sparkle. Today I've gone for the seed beads because I think colour-wise they tie in really nicely with the pearls that we've chosen, and it still gives that little bit of sparkle. And I just like the shape of them in between. Wendy was saying, I was thinking you were going to have to put a tiny drop of glue onto each bead. You could do, but I don't think that's necessary. Sounds like that'd be a little bit messy. No, I've not done that with any of this. I'll pop a little bit of glue onto the end for the clasp, but that's a bit about it. And again, you don't have to do that. It's just to stop the knot, I suppose, unraveling. So as I'm adding it on, you'll see the thread's going quite taut around each bead. And I tend to just give them a little pinch to give them about 1 centimetre. So I tend to put on, and say, about 25 to 30 beads, but it depends how full you want to make your necklace. And that's 25 to 30 beads on each one. So you will probably find you've got lots left over. I've not said you're going to use this amount of 8mm or this amount of 6mm beads or this amount of seed beads. I've just asked for you to have a lovely strand of each size seed bead in your kit, so you can add them on as you want. So you might find that you just want to start off with the seed beads and then you want to go into the smaller pearl and then the larger pearl in the middle and then work your way back out. Or you might just want to do what I'm doing here, where you're just adding them on completely at random. So let's see how many I've got at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I'll add a couple more on. So going through the bead, bring in the same end of your thread, back through the top of the bead, and then slide it into place. Hi Mel, hope you're well. Mina's saying I would just use crimp at the ends in the callottes. You could do. I tend not to use a crimp bead with nylon though, to be me personally, Mina, just because your crimp bead can be quite sharp when it's closed. So for something like tiger tail, I think it works perfectly. I wouldn't want to cut through the nylon. So I just think a knot tends to be sturdy and durable enough. But if you want to try it with crimp bead, give it a go. Yeah, it might work. Hi Tina, how are you doing? Where are you watching from? Where are you joining us from today? If you are just joining us, we are Totally Beads and we are making the Meredith illusion necklace using the invisible nylon thread, 2 sizes of glass pearl and a size 8 Toho seed bead. Okay, so when I'm happily strung them all on, as I say, I tend to just pop it around the back of the board out the way, and then I will pick up another strand that I've tied in. So I will do this to all 5 strands. You can, if you want to do less. I'm going to do a mix of colours on this one just to see. So I'm going to start off with my seed bead. I just like to have smaller ones really towards the back of my neckline. I feel like they're more comfortable, and you can just slide them up towards the callotte. Hi Monica. Got lots of you in today, which is lovely. And we appear to be on Facebook as well as YouTube, which is nice because it's been quite temperamental, hasn't it, the last few weeks? So is there any particular makes that you would like? Would you like to see more necklaces, more bracelets, more wire work, more chainmail, more stitch projects? I've still got a little list of things that I've not quite got round to that people have asked me for before. So I'm going to do some bag charms and like key rings. I'm going to put that together because that was a request that we got. But I am travelling down the other end of the country on Friday, so I can put together some projects for the next few months. I'll be doing a live on Monday from Kitty's house, Kitty's studio, which it should have its proper name because it's gorgeous. So if you come and watch me on Monday, you can have a good laugh because technology never works for me when I'm at her house. Last time I had issues with the camera freezing. I think I'm going to be doing some chainmail with you on Monday. Michelle is watching in New Zealand. Wow, thank you very much for joining me. I don't really usually have anyone from New Zealand that I'm aware of. We have a lot of people in America, lots of people in the UK. We get some from Spain and Germany and, well, all sorts of places, really. Elaine's asking about some masculine makes. Yes, I think that's a good shout. Especially with Father's Day approaching. So I'll definitely look into that for you. Camille saying, I did it once with a coloured tiger tail. I gave it to a daughter and then she put it on and the beads fell off. The crimp cut through the nylon and they slipped off. Yeah, I'm surprised that the crimp went. Mind you, it was coloured nylon, wasn't it? Yeah. It's because it's kind of like a plastic. So I have once, when I've been using a large eye needle, I did split it, and I've also split elastic when using a large eye needle. So that's why I worry Mina sometimes using a crimp bead. It's perfect for like a tiger tail, but sometimes it can be a little bit sharp, I suppose, depending on the material that you're using. Your tiger tail's got a nylon coating, but it's essentially about 7 pieces of fine wire in the centre. I don't use crimp bead directly on wire either, really. So let's add some more of these lovely large pink ones in. Sally's saying, I'd love to learn peyote, never get the hang of it. Right, okay then, well that's 2 requests. So either I ask Kitty, who is our expert stitch beader, or I bite the bullet, so to speak, and I learn to do it myself. And then once I learn something, a new technique, I get very excited and I can't wait to show you. If I come up with a new design, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to teach that too. So once I do it, and if I get it right, all we'll do is peyote stitch for probably about 2 months until you're sick of it. Okay, so that's 3 people wanting to do it. Mina's asking, where in New Zealand are you? My family's in Auckland. Lisa's saying, I've got lots of 8mm gemstones. I'd love to see more necklaces that I could use them in, please. Well, you're in luck, Lisa, because if it's a gemstone, I'm all for it. So I have got a few ideas and designs in mind for that. So I will definitely do. So we've got peyote, masculine makes, gemstones with 8mm. And are they more necklaces then? Because I've done some earrings with them. I might do a ring as well. I might do like an adjustable ring. So I'm just sliding on more of my beads. As you can see, I'm just chatting while I'm doing it. There's not much concentration going on because it's really straightforward. Just sliding the bead on and taking the same tail end back through the top of the bead so I can slide it into position. On this strand, I'm using a mix. So I need to make sure I'm picking up some of each one. I do tend to find though when I'm doing things at random, I'm still drawn to like going for a pattern. So I'll still like put a seed bead in between each one. And I have to kind of stop myself from creating a pattern. Pattern by name, pattern by nature. If anybody's thinking what she's talking about, my surname is Pattern, without the R. If you want to add an extender chain to this as well, you can do. So if you make it and you think, actually, I want it to sit a little bit further down, or I just want to make the kind of center to be the focal point with the invisible thread, and I'd like to add it to a chain, you can add a chain to those callottes and your jump ring at the end if you wish. Kim Neal's just said Facebook's decided that you finished. I thought something changed. I wasn't sure what it was. And then I realised I hadn't scrolled down my comments. Michelle is in Christchurch. Teresa says, so peyote can be very simple after the first row, and a simple bracelet with just 6 beads can be a great start for learning how to do peyote. Okay. All right, Teresa. If I get time, I'm gonna learn it. The thing is, I need to make sure I've learned something, a new technique, and perfected it enough that I can obviously teach it. There's no point watching me struggle. So if I get time in between making my samples and things, I'll give it a go. There is a lot of stuff that I do that never kind of comes to earth, so to speak. So I'll make things and think that's not working, or I've not liked that, or I've just, maybe we need to wait on a stock update because I might make it using particular, component, and then we need to order more in. Which does remind me, actually, I've got some like bugle bead bracelets which I've made all the samples, photographed, and never actually delivered that as a live yet. So I'm gonna do that. Teresa says also start with size 8 seed beads. Okay, they're a little bit easier and less fiddly to use. Mel's asking, can this type of necklace be made using wire? And if yes, what gauge? I would imagine so. If you're going to use a wire, you're going to need to use a gauge which is thin enough to go through whatever hole in the bead that you're using twice, because as you see, I'm bringing it back through. So I've got a 0.4 to hand here. So I would pretend that this is my long length. If you're using wire, you're going to create much more structure with it. And of course you will see a little bit of wire. So there you go. That is a 0.4, which is a 24, 26 gauge. I can't think off the top of my head. So yeah, you could use it with wire. It all just depends on the size of the hole in the bead that you've got. But using the size 8 seed beads and these glass pearls, yeah, you will have that little loop of wire that sits around it though. That could be really quite pretty. I think, Mel, I'm going to make another necklace and I'm going to use that as a technique. You don't know until you try. Debbie says she's made a very detailed instructions for Bee Club for doing peyote wrap. I can send it to you if you like. Oh, bless you. Yeah, I could ask Kitty, couldn't I? I could just say, teach me. If I get time, maybe this weekend, maybe we'll have a make along, me, Kitty and Laura. Camille says, I tend to only make the things that I like, and Teresa likes the wire one. See, this is why we're here as a community, because everybody has brilliant ideas, and it's nice to share those ideas. Okay, so when I have created, I've only done 4 here, but when I have created all 5 of my strands, I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm going to take the ends of my thread, cut these a bit shorter because of the time today. I'm going to lay them out because I'd like them to kind of be in the order that they've come out of the callotte in, if that makes sense. So it doesn't matter if they tangle or twist. You could plait these and twist them up if you wanted to. I do tend to lay them on my bust as I go, just so I can kind of get the reposition of the beads to where I'm happy, and then it's good to go and good to wear. But I'm just going to swap those over, and that's why it's handy doing it on the macrame board, because you'll find you can keep them straight and position them. So when I've got my beads all threaded on, I'm just going to take the ends again of each one, I'll pop them in, so I'll kind of position them as I like them by moving them along and sliding them into place. And I bring all the ends up together. I'm going to take my callotte again, and I'm going to thread each end through, making sure I've got all of them through the callotte. So when I've got them coming out the other side, sorry, I know you can't see. Thank you, Esther. She says 0.4 is 26 gauge. I thought it was. Mel says, I'm new to beading, so I wasn't sure. Well, Mel, you've just created an idea. You don't know until you try. I've tried it for you. I think it would work. And again, that's what it's lovely about having this type of a community where we make things together. We learn from each other's mistakes and we inspire each other. And you know, you might be new to beading, but you've just created your own design. So how good are you? Lisa says, I'm coiling bead cages while watching. I always manage to turn them wonky when I close them over the beads, so I need the practice. I'm going to do a little bit of coiling with you. Is it not next Monday? Might be next Friday. There's a tiny bit of coiling with that. So I've got all of my threads together. Again, I'm just going to do an overhand knot. So I basically wrap it around my finger. And then what I do, you don't have to, but I find it easier to pop my pliers through the knot and grab hold of those ends. And you could do a surgeon's knot if you wanted, like a double knot with that, but I think one is fine. And then pushing that together so it's nice and close. If you want to pull on each end to tighten it up, you absolutely can do, because it will kind of slip over each other. So that's why I like to, I don't know which one it is, but there it is. So I've just pulled that tight, so I've got that little knot there. Sorry, it's struggling to focus. I'm then going to take my glue or nail varnish, and I'm just going to dab it onto the knot. You don't need too much. I'm then going to trim just past the knot, slide that knot inside of my callotte, fold over with my fingers just to line up those edges and close it over. And if you are using glue, I wouldn't really wait for it to dry, because as I say, it will stick to the inside of your callotte, and then it will add that sturdiness. All I have to do now is add my findings. So this is quite a small necklace, given there is a little bit of stretch in it though, don't get me wrong, because you've got that nylon, but I did just make a small one. But I would say cut about 80, maybe even 90 centimeters per thread. So then I'm just going to take out the jump rings, which are in my kit, and my lobster clasp. Rachel says, how about bezel a stone or Rivoli? We have done that before, I think, Rachel, but yeah, maybe not for a little while. Trish says, it's a great tip to use your pliers to pull the ends through. I just find it a little bit easier to grip, because it can be quite slippy, and when I'm often pulling the edges through, one might just fall out, if that makes sense, out of the knot. So I'm just opening up my jump ring by giving a little twist towards me. I can slide that directly through the callotte, and I can add my clasp on. So we've got a lovely 12mm lobster clasp in your kit. And then I can close that over, and then opening up just the one on the other side, to slide through the little eyelets on the calotte. Make sure that jump ring is nice and closed. Give it a little bit of a wiggle there. And then my necklace is good to go and ready to wear, and it will give that lovely kind of floating effect where your beads are just suspended in the air. Trish says you could make a small selection and add a chain too. Absolutely could. So on the bust, where I've layered them up, these are individual ones, so these haven't been made using a mix of them. I've made one with each of the colours. So if you want to multi-buy and wear a few at a time, you can create this really lovely full effect. Or if you just want to wear them as is, as one colourway, then that is how it looks. And as I say, you can, reposition how you want them to lay. You can kind of layer them over each other. Maybe have a longer one positioned into the centre. Just like that noise. Jan says, thank you, Natalie. It's a beautiful make and I can't wait to get my hands on these kits. Thank you so much. The majority of them, I don't know whether they all are, I think the majority of them are £5.99, and there's any two for 15% off. You can get a cornflower blue, golden haze grape, pink magenta, silver and a teal. So thank you so much for joining me today. Lisa says, very pretty, those blues look gorgeous. They're just dead summery for me. And Mel says they look lovely. Thank you. So thank you so much for being with me today. I really appreciate you tuning in. As I say, I won't be here on Friday. I'll be travelling down to Clacton, but I'm not sure if we'll have a live on in replace of me. Kitty might do one. I will double check and I'll find out for you. So stay tuned. Keep following us on YouTube, Totally Beads YouTube. You can also follow me on Natalie Patton Jewellery on YouTube, and I'll respond back to any comments or any questions that you might leave if you're watching back at a later date. I hope you all have a very, very lovely week. Enjoy the sunshine. It's come out now, so I'm about to get me washing on the line. The glamorous lifestyle that I lead. I'll see you all soon. Take care.